I bet you didn't know these true crime stories. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Grab a blanket, turn off the lights, because today we're diving into the darkest corners of true crime. Like, seriously dark. We're talking about the cases that have haunted me for, like, ever. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 chilling true crime stories that will send shivers down your spine. Get ready to have your mind blown, because some of this stuff is just unbelievable. Like, how could someone do that? This is part 1 of our series, so make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated. And don't forget to comment below which case freaks you out the most. Okay, let's get creepy. Okay, first up we have the Zodiac Killer. This case is like the ultimate unsolved mystery. This dude was terrorizing California in the late 60s and early 70s, sending these creepy-ass ciphers to the police and newspapers. Like, who does that? And the ciphers were full of cryptic messages and clues about his identity. But guess what? Most of them have never been solved. And the murders themselves were brutal. Shootings, stabbings. He even claimed to have killed 37 people. But only 7 were confirmed. The creepiest part, he was never caught. Like, imagine living back then, knowing this guy was out there, maybe watching you. Ugh, gives me chills. It took years to crack one of his ciphers, and it still didn't lead to his capture. It's crazy to think that this case is still open, and the Zodiac could be out there somewhere just living his life. If you want to learn more about the Zodiac Killer, there are tons of books and documentaries out there. Just, like, don't blame me if you can't sleep after. Next up is Ted Bundy, the charming law student turned serial killer. This guy is the definition of looks can be deceiving. Seriously. Look at this picture of him. He looks like the boy next door. Right? Wrong. This dude was a monster. Bundy was active in the 1970s, and he confessed to killing at least 30 young women across multiple states. His MO was to lure women in by pretending to be injured or disabled, and then boom, he'd kidnap and murder them. Ugh, it makes me sick. What's even more disturbing is that he was able to escape from custody twice. Like, how? He even acted as his own attorney during his trial, which is just weird and chilling. Bundy's case is a horrifying reminder that evil can hide in plain sight. He was a master manipulator who used his charm to gain the trust of his victims. It's a terrifying thought. Alright, let's talk about the Black Dahlia. This case is like Hollywood's biggest unsolved mystery. It happened in 1947, and it's still talked about today. It's just that creepy. So, the victim was Elizabeth Short, an aspiring actress who was found brutally murdered in a vacant lot in Los Angeles. Her body had been posed. And I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say it was gruesome. The press nicknamed her the Black Dahlia because of her dark clothing and, well, the gruesome nature of the crime. Despite a massive investigation, the killer was never found. There were tons of suspects, from ex-boyfriends to mobsters, but no one was ever charged. The case became a media sensation, and it's still a source of fascination today. She was a young woman with dreams, just like any of us. It's heartbreaking to think about what happened to her. Chapter 4. Jack the Ripper, he's still out there. Well, kinda. Okay, you guys, let's travel back in time to Victorian London, where we meet the infamous Jack the Ripper. This case is like the OG true crime story. It's old school scary. In 1888, this dude was terrorizing the streets of Whitechapel, brutally murdering at least 5 women, all of whom were prostitutes. And the way he mutilated their bodies, it was like something out of a horror movie. The police were baffled. They had no idea who this guy was, and he was always one step ahead. He even sent taunting letters to the police, signing them Jack the Ripper. Can you imagine the audacity? Talk about adding insult to injury. The letters, like the murders, were never definitively linked to a suspect. Even though it's been over a century, Jack the Ripper is still one of the most infamous serial killers of all time. He's like the boogeyman of Victorian London. Chapter 5. The Manson Family. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Okay, you guys, buckle up, because this next case is a lot. We're talking about Charles Manson and his family of followers. This is one of those cases that just makes you question everything. Manson was like this charismatic cult leader who convinced his followers to commit a series of gruesome murders in 1969. They believed it would spark a race war, which is just insane. The most famous victim was actress Sharon Tate, who was pregnant at the time. It was a horrific crime that shocked the nation. What's even crazier is that Manson himself didn't actually commit any of the murders. He just ordered his followers to do it. Talk about manipulation. He and his followers were sentenced to death, but their sentences were later commuted to life in prison. Manson died in prison in 2017, but his legacy of evil lives on. This case is a reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters are human. Chapter 6. The Jonestown Massacre, Occult Kool-Aid, and Cyanide. Oh my, you guys, this next case is heartbreaking. It's the story of the Jonestown Massacre, a mass unalive that claimed the lives of over 900 people, including over 300 children. It's a tragedy that still haunts us today. It all started with this guy named Jim Jones, who founded a religious movement called the People's Temple. He was charismatic, but also super controlling, and he eventually moved his followers to a remote settlement in Guyana called Jonestown. Things took a dark turn when Jones, who was paranoid and delusional, ordered his followers to drink flavor aid laced with cyanide. It's a chilling example of the dangers of cult mentality. The Jonestown Massacre is a reminder that blind faith can have devastating consequences. It's a story about the power of persuasion, the dangers of isolation, and the importance of critical thinking. Chapter 7. The Night Stalker. He could be hiding under your bed. Okay, you guys, this next case is the stuff of nightmares. We're talking about Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker. He terrorized Los Angeles in 1984 and 1985, breaking into homes, raping, and murdering his victims. He was brutal, unpredictable, and he seemed to enjoy instilling fear. Ramirez had a thing for the occult and Satanism, which made his crimes even more terrifying. He would often leave satanic symbols at the crime scenes, which, like, what's scarier than that? He was eventually caught and convicted, but not before claiming the lives of at least 13 people. The Night Stalker case is a reminder that evil can lurk anywhere, even in the comfort of our own homes. Chapter 8. The Amityville Horror. Is your house haunted? Okay, let's talk about one of the most famous haunted house cases of all time. The Amityville Horror. This case is so creepy, they made a movie about it. Several, actually. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family in their home in Amityville, New York. A year later, another family moved in, only to flee after just 28 days, claiming the house was haunted. They reported all sorts of paranormal activity, like strange noises, cold spots, and even levitating objects. Some people believe the house is cursed, while others think the new family just wanted attention. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the Amityville Horror is a creepy story that will make you think twice about buying a house with a dark past. Chapter 9. The BTK Killer. Bind, torture, kill. You guys, this next case is disturbing on so many levels. It's the story of Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer. BTK stands for Bind, Torture, Kill, which is exactly what he did to his victims. He terrorized Wichita, Kansas from the 1970s to the 1990s, killing 10 people. What's even more messed up is that he would taunt the police with letters and packages, often including details about his crimes or even souvenirs from the crime scenes. He craved attention, and he seemed to get off on the fear he instilled in the community. He was eventually caught after resurfacing in 2004, thanks in part to DNA evidence. The BTK Killer case is a reminder that evil can hide in plain sight. Rader was a seemingly normal family man who lived a double life as a serial killer. Chapter 10. The Green River Killer. He just couldn't stop. Okay, last but not least, we have Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. This guy was one of the most prolific serial killers in American history, confessing to the murders of at least 49 women, most of them prostitutes and runaways in Washington state. His crimes took place in the 1980s and 1990s, and he often disposed of his victims' bodies in or near the Green River, hence the nickname. He was able to evade capture for years, but he was finally caught in 2001 thanks to DNA evidence. The Green River Killer case is a reminder of the vulnerability of those on the margins of society and the importance of giving a voice to the voiceless. Outro. Stay spooky and safe. Oh my God, you guys, we made it. I don't know about you, but I need a glass of wine and a nightlight after all that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Misery loves company. Am I right? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to catch part 2 of our top 10 chilling true crime stories. We've got even more creepy cases to unpack, so stay tuned. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.